Alrighty, so hello internet. I'm Kate. It was a wild night last night. Last night I did a lot of camp whoring. But not I my usual camp whoring. I never get naked or anything. I just be there and talk with guys and stuff. And my hair is all messed up, even though I started it last night, and I still have some makeup that I haven't taken off. I woke up like 2 hours ago, and I'm just too lazy. I've been checking my emails and stuff. And I think I found out two things that I can do for YouTube. One of them is reading my emails out loud and my impressions on people that write to me on this dating site. And number two could be the Ice Queen of the Day award for me for times when I am a complete, absolute, total bitch. Like, for example, this guy. He starts chatting to me on the site. And he's like, typical guys that are just like, I guess, insecure themselves. And, honestly, they're insecure that I can't find... It's not that they're really looking for a TSTG person, but that they can't find a person on their own outside. So they come here and they think that TSTG people are just dying to have somebody out there for them, which is hilarious because they're not. They're just dying to have somebody. And so he's giving me all that speech and stuff. And so he's like, so how are you single? I'm like, well, I'm picky. And he's like, what makes you picky? I'm like, well, the fact that I hold myself in high regard. And he's like, are you shallow? I'm like, that's the exact polar opposite of shallow. And then I realized, I said that wrong. What I should have said was exact, absolute polar opposite of shallow. And he's like, okay, well, most women that I've known use that as their excuse to be shallow. So for any smart people, or any people out there who know how I think, this already gives you insight as to the type of guy that this guy is. He's the simple-minded idiot that thinks that somehow there is some special person out there for him, and that person is most likely the person he's speaking with at the moment. So that's why he gets hurt, and that's why most women that I've known use that as their excuse to be shallow. See the terms that he uses. He uses excuse because he sees this as a wrong thing. I mean, he is classifying them as shallow, perhaps because he doesn't understand their complexity. I am a very complex individual, and I just don't settle for people this simple. So I keep going on. I'm gonna try to prove my point. So I say, fair enough. Then odds are I'm shallow as well. Just putting that out there. Fair enough. Then odds are I'm shallow as well, and I just don't know it yet. But think about it. I'm going to be a little bit extreme here, but it's just to prove my point. And then he says, I'm not saying that you're shallow. It's what I'm used to hearing. Okay. So then my point comes around. You wouldn't date a hobo, would you? Even if the hobo was a really great person inside, right? Especially not when you'd rather go for someone clean, nice, good looking. And you're right to an extent. And then say Salma Hayek versus a hobo. You go for Mrs. Salma. Because I think she's married, so Mrs. Yeah, and then he says, depends on where my heart would lead me to. So I reply, let's not be childish here. If you saw them side by side and you were given the choice without knowing either of them prior. So I'm setting the stage here. He doesn't know either of them, so Salma could be anyone else. And then he's faced with Salma or hobo. I'm assuming here that he likes women. And he has no background on either of them, and he can get no background. That's pretty much what I'm implying here. He says, I'm being honest, I don't go strictly for physical looks. I have to find one thing about the person that I find attractive for me to give them a chance at being with them. Yeah. I wouldn't pick one or the other without getting to know them. So then I reply, I personally think that in the real world, it's a dead easy choice. Now, as I said, I was being extreme. And this was an example of different beauties and attributes that people exhibit. He says, what about me? Would you give me a chance? I was so wanting to say no, in all caps, but I just kept going to see when he would get it, you know? If I were going for looks alone, I say, I'd go for the best. If I'm going for smarts, which is what I am going for, I go for the best. I don't know if I'd go for you, I say. And he says, but you also need to look at how after you've chosen someone by looks at how they treat you. That's the type of person we're talking about right now. So then I say, but given a chance, a choice of Salma or Mr. DiCaprio, I'd most likely choose one of them. No offense. I mean, this is talking him versus DiCaprio or Salma Hayek. So I'm like, well, you know, if I was giving choice of either these two people or you, I would choose one of them. So he says, but you don't know what kind of person they are, therefore you wouldn't be able to make an educated choice. I'm choosing them, I say, mainly because I haven't figured you out yet. Yet my instincts point to two places that I'd rather avoid. And he says, and what places are those? I'm like, 1, or A, naivete. B, someone trying to be deep to prove something. Now listen to his argument. I'm not trying to be deep, I'm being myself. Yeah, so then I reply, being yourself doesn't mean you're not trying to be deep. And he says, I'm not a naive person, I just like to be educated on everything that I get involved with. Sometimes complete knowledge isn't a realistic possibility, I say. Thus, that will to be educated can be classified as naivete. He says, you're right, but I try to be as educated as possible as I can. So this is his argument. I try to know everything I can. And I reply, and that was your answer when faced with a rhetoric binary choice. Indecision, naivete. He says, I meant when I can. I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with being naive. I mean, kids are naive as hell and they're immensely happy, are they not? Oh my god, I'm a bitch. I am a bitch. That he just logged off. He didn't even say bye or anything. He didn't even call me nice sweet. He just left. So then I looked into his profile and guess what I found? I was absolutely right all along about him. See, I'm kind of like a super awesome shrink person. He is 25 years old, looking for dating, love, and friendship. Yeah, friendship, not really, just love. He's Christian. He's a high school graduate, so he's not even going for anything in his life. He is just a simple kind of guy looking for a good woman or TS, see, to settle down with and start a life together. I'm a country guy that likes the simple things in life. I work very hard for what I have. I'm mainly into rock and metal and country music, sorry. But I sometimes listen to a little rap. I'm just mainly interested in finding a good girl in my life. Like, she's just gonna fall onto him. I seek a down-to-earth girl that knows what she wants and isn't a child. She must be well-spoken. I don't get along with the ghetto lifestyle. I prefer a woman with some class but isn't afraid to get dirty. I am, after all, a country boy that rides horses and goes four-wheeling. So, yes. This is his message. I need love in my life. So, I was absolutely right. This guy is just tired of being lonely, and he thinks that, you know, since transgenders are not real women, it's easier to get one of those. So, that was my ice cream moment of the day, and I hope you enjoyed it and you laughed almost as hard as I did. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I can make more of these. I'm gonna try to be, you know, still ice and cold and ice cream and stuff, and yeah, I'll see you later, guys. Bye. Oh, and then